We are at the top secret Ranwin Park storage unit where, against all odds, my garage door is one of the only ones that has not been vandalized. To take a look at one of my personal projects, this is a 1972 Morris Mini 850. I don't know much about this car's history, but what I do know is fascinating. This was made new in 1972 and it was sold on the French market. Here is the French distributor's information. The registration number was issued in 1975 in the Marseilles area, so it wasn't sold new here. I don't know where it was sold new. The only hints I have about its early life are these stickers on the rear window. That's a boat company that took people between Marseille and Corsica. So either the original owner really liked Corsica and went there often, lived there, or maybe worked for the company. I found this in the car. It's a British Leyland France catalog from a dealership near Switzerland. It shows all the cars for the 1981 model year. It's actually quite fascinating to look through. But what's interesting is that the previous owner underlined the name of every dealer between Marseille and Switzerland. So apparently that person was going on a trip and didn't trust the Mini. I don't know whether it went on the trip. I don't know if it broke down. But what I can tell you is that it ended up in the Marseille area again in the late 1970s, and it was taken to a Citroen mechanic right in the heart of the city for various repairs. I bought this car from the mechanic's nephew. The mechanic was well into his 90s and couldn't remember how the car ended up there, but he told me the owner never picked it up, so it sat in a corner of his warehouse between 1980 and 2018 when I bought it. It took a hit at one point on the passenger side fender and the A panel, and as you can tell, it used to be red at one point. But apart from that, sitting inside for decades has preserved this car amazingly well. The body is, I would say, 100% rust free. There is not a single speck of rust anywhere on it. Here's a look at the interior, where again you can tell the car was red when it was new. Every part you see that's missing from this car I took the door panel off, I think it's in the back seat, to fix the window mechanism. The missing grille I took off to replace the starter motor. Fitted a new ignition, which I haven't installed yet, but it's plugged in. It hasn't done 100,000 kilometers yet, but it might have turned over at one point, so it could be 195 and not 95. Apparently the owner was a heavy smoker. I found 1980 Camel cigarettes in the ashtray, and the rear seat caught fire, presumably because somebody tossed a cigarette back there. My plan for this car is to put it back on the road and keep it as original as possible. The engine is not seized, but the compression is fairly low across all four cylinders, so I need to either rebuild it or change it. But if I change it, I want to put in another 850cc. I know there are more powerful alternatives, but for me that's not the point. I don't want to build a Cooper replica. Everything electrical works, surprisingly. The headlights, turn signals, the horn, power windows, sat-nav. Just kidding. So it doesn't need a ton of electrical work. The starter motor was seized up. I'm rebuilding that, which is why the grille is off. So after the brakes, I'm going to start working on the suspension and figure out what to do with the engine. This car is one of many projects I'm working on. I've also got two Renault 4s, a 2CV, a Fiat 850, etc. And it doesn't help that I've moved since buying this storage unit, and I now live an hour and a half away. So it's not a project that's moving very fast. But I'm hoping to make at least decent progress on it this year and get it back on the road in 2020. I'll post updates as it comes together.